Brought to you by
Envy, the power of French perfume.
Nice perfume. Nice perfume.
Envy, the power of French perfume.
How do you pick the bones out of that one? Personally, a very satisfying week from a personal point of view, but from a team couldn't quite get over that.
Yeah, another hard-fought test, another 5-dayer. Yeah, I think we set the game up really well. I think going back earlier to the Ben Duckett and Zach Crawley opening partnership, the way that they took the game on and really tried to put the Indian bowlers under pressure. The rate that they scored at allowed us to sort of have that focus on batting once and trying to get as far ahead of the game as we possibly could, and then giving ourselves a good chance of bowling them out. Obviously didn't transpire that way, but we played the game in the way that we wanted to, with how it turned out with them bowling them out. But yeah, look, I think give a lot of credit to the way that India were able to play the way they did, especially after losing 2 wickets in the first over in our second innings of bowling. Just wasn't meant to be this week.
How are you feeling physically? How are you feeling mentally?
Mentally, decent. Physically, been better.
How's the body? You seem to struggle with your shoulders. This morning, last night. What was the story?
No, it's just something that's just been sort of stirring away. It's been pretty big workload so far in the series. Another obviously big week last week at Lords, with time spent out in the middle with bat in the hand and obviously overs bowled, and then same again this week. So said it a few times to the guys out there. Pain is just an emotion. So just one of those things.
Is there any chance you could miss out of the oval or feature on the batter only, or is this still the area?
I think you look at how long we've been out in the field and the overs that we bowled as a bowling unit. Everyone's going to be sort of pretty sore and pretty tired going into the last game of the series. So I think there'll be an assessment of everyone, and hopefully we can use these next 2 to 3 days rest period wisely, and then have to make a decision on then. Obviously these recovery days are going to be pretty important, and we might have to make a few decisions to get some fresh legs in, but again that won't be decided until we get closer to the last game.
We'll go Will and then Sydney and then Chris.
At tea, both going on and off, you seem to be having some sort of quite animated discussions with Liam Dawson. I don't know what that was about exactly, but I just wondered whether you could explain how you thought he bowled, how he obviously got through a hell of a lot of work today and yesterday, but didn't end up taking a wicket. What was your assessment of him on his return to Test cricket?
Yeah, I thought he did really well. Look, it's it's coming into a Test match, for such a long period of time. I think he's done himself. He's had a very, very good week. Not only with, but I thought his runs that he got as well were very important for us. Obviously, with the way that we wanted to bat as long as he possibly could. Creating chances. And balls just weren't sort of going where the fielders were on a couple of occasions. Obviously you have discussions with all your bowlers around, what can we look at doing potentially differently? What do you feel is the most threatening? Can we look at maybe doing this differently or doing that differently? Especially when you get into, day 5 and you've got 2 guys out there who spend some time out in the middle. You're always chatting to your bowlers around doing something potentially different. Do it with the seam bowlers as well all the time. We tried quite a few different plans, set different fields to try and make the Indian batsmen feel a little bit uncomfortable, but they were able to stand up to everything that we threw at them today. I think Liam Dawson's had a great week, and unfortunately he's just not got the reward with the ball that I think he's deserved.
I'm going to ask about events at the end there. You obviously offered a handshake a few minutes before the actual end of the game. Well, you guys seemed a bit frustrated that India didn't accept it. What was it exactly that frustrated you? Was it just your own tiredness, or was it the fact that they were within sight of a personal milestone?
I think we we took the game as far as we could with our frontline bowlers. We took it as far as we could to think like we've got a real chance of still winning this game. But as soon as it got to that point where it was the draw's inevitable here, I was never going to risk any of my frontline bowlers with the short turnaround that we have and the workload that we've got through this week and throughout the series as well. As soon as the 15 overs or last hour was there was always going to be a shake hands. But as I said, the only other person who's actually got any bowling workload into them is Harry Brook. But I did have to tell him, I said, please don't do anything stupid. We spent a lot of time out in the field. Can't have you pulling aside or doing anything different. He's naturally going to be fatigued, even if you don't bowl. So I was just like, just get through this period. But yeah, I wasn't going to risk any of my, proper bowling options in that situation when we knew what was going on.
Sydney, then we'll go Chris behind you. Go ahead.
Barring lost to some extent, batsmen from both sides have made many scoring power centuries and teams also scoring over 400 runs. And it's been a real hard point for bowlers, and you've faced it. So what's your assessment of the pitches so far?
It's been it's been a series so far of hard toil. In particular, the bowling units from both sides. You've really had to work really, really hard for your rewards. And I think as this game got deeper and deeper, it actually became a much harder wicket for right-handers to bat on. I think from that top end there, you've seen a lot more variable bounce from very similar areas. Even when India are bowling to us at the back end of our innings, when we were in a comfortable position, balls are still sort of, leaping off a length or keeping a bit low. You've seen that happening quite a lot, even when Shubman and KL were, in a good partnership. There were still balls that were just slightly taking off or keeping low. But even though obviously I'm a left-hander and I spent a bit of time out there, you didn't really feel that was in danger to you as a left-hander. So obviously when Jadeja and Washington came out, didn't feel as threatening with the left-handers. So it was a different wicket for left-handers and right-handers, but you've still got to be able to be good enough and skillful enough to get through the pressures of day 5, particularly when you're behind the game like India were. So got to give a lot of credit to the way that Washington and Jadeja played. That partnership was very, very crucial for them being able to be in the position they are at the end of the game.
Chris, and then we'll go to Mel.
Hi Ben. After Lords, you said you were going to spend 4 days in bed, and I think you did in the end. I just wondered what you want to do between now and Thursday to ensure your body is in the best possible shape so you can play again then.
Probably only 2 because it's 3 days, isn't it? Between the next one. No, I think everyone's going to be pretty similar. Shut it down, rest up, and everyone's going to give themselves the best chance of being available for selection. But we're not going to hide away from the fact that it's been a very tough 4 games so far for the guys who have played, in particular the bowling unit. So, we generally like to get our team out, a couple of days before. But we might have to just take a little bit longer going into this last game, just because of how we want to give everyone as long as they possibly can to be able to recover. Because yes, we're going to the last game of the series 2-1 up, but we know that we still want to go out and put that last big performance in. We kept saying today, just one last push again before one last push next week. So we still know there's a lot of hard work to go into this end of the series.
Just on the shoulder, is it the shoulder, and was today the first time you felt it? Something you've been managing throughout the series? It's actually my bicep tendon.
Obviously had quite a lot of workload through it. Just been creeping around. A lot of time out in the middle doing my job as an all-rounder this week, and just got a little bit flared up. But obviously keep going, and didn't get any worse throughout the day. Just stayed the same, so that's why I kept on going. but yeah, hopefully it settles down and we'll be good as gold for the last game.
Mel, Steph, and then we'll do Julian, then we'll do 2 more.
Ben, how important was that batting innings for you? Because that is the most fluid you've looked batting since you've come back from surgery. And was there a moment in that innings, or was it just something gradually from spending time up in the field?
I'm not. You know, obviously, you want before this game, you obviously want to be contributing towards the team as much as you can, and you know, I'm not someone who particularly looks at the overall statistics of things. Felt like I've gradually got better, and even last week at Lords, you know, 70 runs, but it was more in the moments that I found myself in, I've been able to apply myself and actually, you know, spend some important time out the middle, get some important runs, and that's sort of how I look at it. You know, I've had a good game this week as an all-rounder, but I felt better sat here last week talking to everyone, you know, with 3 for and a 2 for and 30 and a 40, than obviously sitting here now with 140 and 6 wickets in the game with a 5 for. So yeah, I judge the performances that I give to the team on the results and my contribution in the moments of games, and are they influencing the game in the way that I want them to, which is going to help us win. Yeah, so that's how I look at it, if that makes sense.
And so you literally put your arm around a couple of the bowlers at various times today. How tough is that going to be for you with those bowlers? It might be a very different bowling attack, of course, but you know, how much did that hurt them today?
I think when the reality of where the game drifted towards is obviously going to be that, like, almost a come down, I guess, because you know, throughout the whole game there until that last session, we really felt that we were, you know, 10 minutes away potentially of blowing the game open and giving ourselves a chance at chasing something there. But so when that reality does sit in, you can get the vibe that everyone is a little bit like, I've got through absolutely everything at this, and we've not been able to get over the line there. So there is that obvious sense of disappointment and almost heartbreak. Obviously, with me being a captain, I was as well. But yeah, I got to be that upbeat person as well. You know, even there at the end, Dawson, he was like, he's bowled so many overs today, his body was sore, it was stiff, but he didn't want to take the easy option and leave the field. That's what I was saying, please, if you are sore, last thing I need is you to pull a calf or pull a hammy, because you're out here in a pretty pointless situation. So not only is it great to know that your players want to stay out there regardless of the situation, but there is obviously going to be that natural disappointment from everyone out there when you feel like you've given yourself a good chance to win it again, but it turned out differently.
Okay, we've got Stefan, 1 each, Julian, Vish, and then we'll finish here at the front.
Sorry, you just talked quite generally about the bowling unit, but just to be clear on you specifically, are you unsure whether you'll be able to play the over or not?
Don't want to eat my words, but the likelihood that I won't play is very unlikely.
Julian, please.
Yeah.
Vish, and then we'll finish at the front. Just one question, please.
Yeah. Just on that sort of slight fracture at the finish, if that had been you as captain with a young lad just coming up to his maiden Test century in Washington, would you have pulled the plug on him?
Well, I think the way that the hard work would have been done there, the knock that those two played were very, very good. The situation that India found themselves in there with us opening the game open slightly, that partnership was massive. It was, you know, you hold your hands up. They played incredibly, incredibly well. And I don't think there would have been too much more satisfaction from walking off 100 not out, getting your team out of a tricky situation, than walking off at 80, 90 not out. You know, that's what you've done for your team. You know, the 10 more runs or whatever it was ain't going to change the fact that you've managed to get your team out of a very, very, very tricky situation and almost saved your team from a series defeat before the last game. Yeah.
Vish, and then finish at the front. Go ahead, Vish.
I mean, I'm just wondering about Bryden. His pace hasn't really appeared across the series, but obviously he looks like he's played, you know, 4 tests in a row. How's he doing? What do you think about him ahead of the Oval?
Again, as I said, it'll be, you know, 2-3 days recovery for everyone, and we'll be giving everyone the best chance we can to make sure that we've got, you know, the squad that we end up selecting for the last game to be able to choose from everyone. But look, it's I'm not going to hide behind the fact that it has been tough for the bowlers. Bryden's charged in consistently through thick and thin moments. He'll keep going, and again we'll make a decision as late as he possibly can regarding the playing 11 for the last game.
ये है इंडिया और इंग्लैंड का महामुकाबला। लाइव मैचेस तो आप देख लेंगे, मगर खेल के पीछे टीमों की स्ट्रैटेजी, टीमों की चाल और फिर आपके सवाल, ये सब होंगे स्पोर्ट्स तक। तो अभी तक अगर आपने स्पोर्ट्स तक को सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया तो फटाफट सब्सक्राइब भी कर लीजिए और नोटिफिकेशन की घंटी भी बजा डालिए।